Good afternoon, everyone, and welcome to the FX Daily Wrap-Up with ForexAnalytix. And we're seeing the euro dollar continue to move up in here. Let's just go move this out here out of the way. We saw the dollar rally back. Nice, decent rally after the China news manipulator, and we calmed down. One of the things that we noted in the basic technical analysis from Asian yesterday is it's going to have a tough time if it tries to get back above 97.89, and we'll take a look at that. So it's just going to have a tough time trying to get a 2-hour close above 97.89, and we think we're just going to make a trip eventually to, in the near future, what we were saying towards 97. Obviously, we already started to slide back, and different reasons for that. Obviously, one of them is going to be right here with the 10-year. And boy, I was mentioning in the European crossover how you have to be careful. You got to make sure you employ these stops because these markets can get going and then keep on going. And I'd mentioned there is one of the bond traders I know of, I think it was Interest Arbitrage, had posted, I think it was on Monday, he said or maybe it was yesterday, I think it was, I guess it was yesterday, he put early in the morning, said, the margin man cometh or is coming. And, at that time, I was remarking, at that time, I think we were at 176. And you can see here that the market kept sliding down, and sliding down, we keep on doing. And so, people try to keep on, defending that area. Boy, they've gotten completely and totally run over. Now, we do have a 10-year auction coming up, and so we may see a different response with the dollar. We shall go and see, but boy, did we come and fall and fall and fall. And certainly also seeing that with crude oil. Look at this. So look at the falls there. I think it was Stelios who might mention in the chat room, is that it's screaming, big recession. Certainly looks like that, the way we've fallen. Look at this. In just a short amount of time, we've come off practically $8. I mean, that's just huge. And certainly have a lot of worries that the market's concerned about. You've seen boom rates take off like crazy. Now, on the 2-hour chart, it does look like we might get a little bit of a pause here. We are starting to get that, somewhat. And we may see a little bit of an edge here. Let's go on and come back to the main screen. I'd hope that the euro dollar, after it posted yesterday, and we'll take a look at this, we had a medium-legged doji here with the euro dollar. And generally, when you get something like that, and we'll take a look at that. Situation like this, bulls don't have control, bears don't have control. So we finish in the middle, and we usually pair back a little bit, what the trend has been. We know there's been higher. And earlier, we had made a run up here. I think it was in maybe the 12 teens, upper teens, and we did, and the market, you saw that market start to slide back. So that was kind of, par for the course. And I was hoping we might kind of edge back towards this 1160-ish area, which is where we had our bias chart support. I thought that'd be a good buy at that area, but obviously with the interest rates going lower and the dollar starting to slip, they got the euro up and going. It is moving higher. And we think that in time, eventually we'll be able to move higher with the dollar correspondingly move lower, but we shall see as things play out over the next day or two. I always thought that, when the currency manipulator news, we should have made at least a run towards this 1285. So we kind of fizzled out, and it really left the market open to coming down here and testing back here. And we tried to move a little bit higher in Asia, and then we started to slide back. It looked like the door was open for just that. But as I said, with the, bear with me, with interest rates and the dollar continuing to weaken, not that it wasn't just the dollar, obviously it's a boon, but here's the deal is the Fed has a lot more room to motivate with, or not motivate, but I was going to say navigate with, than the ECB. So even though we've got boom rates going lower, you got these, it's going to cover, lack of a better word, I was going to say cross rates, but basically cross currents in the market. So you might argue that, well, wait a minute, the boons are going to new all-time lows. That should go in and suggest that trouble for the euro. And that is true, but the dollar, we've seen U.S. interest rates falling quite a bit also, but the Fed has more room to navigate to lower rates, and that has certainly put the dollar under pressure. So henceforth, we saw that translate to the dollar going lower on the backdrop of these lower interest rates, which is translated to obviously gold moving higher. And we're pressing up here against these levels just above 150, above 1500. So we talked about this on Monday when we when we had covered the daily wrap up, and I spent most of Monday instead of focusing just on the levels. I told you, hey, look, it appears that the market's entering a new dynamic, because at the time we were watching the euro, and I go, it's not paring back, but it's not like as if it's jumping up and taking people, stopping them out. And certainly later on that afternoon, we saw the China currency manipulator news, and we backed down. Things kind of settled back yesterday. We saw the S&Ps come back after being very oversold. Then, now we're starting to see the dollar slide back again as U.S. interest rates start to go on and come off quite a bit. So we're just seeing this mixed bag of stuff. We saw the, like a case in point here with the dollar CAD, for the bias chart resistance we had today at 33.39, and we got up there, we kind of floundered around, and we fell back. We fell back pretty decent amount, not a whole lot, but I mean, we fell back about 35 pips or so, something like that, this is just a 5-minute chart, so we're going to move this to a 30-minute chart. But it wasn't a bad pullback here. I mean, we think that the market moved higher, but in the short haul, we thought, okay, 33.39, we pointed out in the European crossover, there's an area here. It can move higher, but we thought we're going to go and take a decent little pause there. And we did, but when all this oil news comes out, boy, it sent the dollar CAD right back up again. Potentially, it can go higher. So you've got these cross currents. Now, here, look at the peso. That makes sense. Although we had our bias chart resistance at 1964.7, we've gone past this. It's once again, it's this whole, as I mentioned a couple of days ago, the market is trying to digest, and not, as I said again, not digest in the sense that when you get to a new low or new high, the market may kind of consolidate and digest the news. No, digest like, hey, where are we going? What is the lay of the land now? What is this new potential new dynamic we have? And I think that's where you're seeing these. You can see here where the dollar yen even took a dip here. We had 185.86 as our bias chart support. Well, actually, we had it for 185.86 and then 105.27. But we did some work, and once again, if you remember with ForexAnalytix, we were showing here how we think we're going to move to a brand new level, and we're looking on the daily chart. We're going to take a look at the dollar yen right now, because I mentioned the basic technical analysis is that this market, I said, can't even keep a bid, and so we're looking much further out for this market to eventually move to a new range, which I think is going to be from, came up here was 101.15 to, I think it's right there, 320. Okay, 320. So it feels like this market just wants to make another drop. We can't even get a bounce, and we've already fallen off quite a bit. Remember, we saw that rally to the pivot, and then we came off. So you would think, okay, well, at least a dead cat bounce. We can't even get a dead cat bounce, obviously for good reason, with U.S. interest rates under so much pressure. But that being said, I mean, you can't find a bounce. So although I think we had, like I said, we had our bias chart support at 586 and /27. I think we got down to the upper 570s and we bounced, but we've since come off that again. I think there'll be some support there around 527. But I think that in time, this market is going to go on and want to move to a brand new zone. And that's going to be that 101.15, even could take out 101 slightly, but around 101.15 to about 320. And I think we'll venture in time, we'll probably move down to that range. So a lot of markets moving in different directions. Sometimes we see those correlations even in just with FX itself, but it's almost like, each man for himself, each dog fighting his own fight. So you have to be basically on top of this stuff. And I myself today, I've been doing some stuff in the background, getting a new computer system. So I've kind of been fiddling with that. Maybe it might have been a good thing. I poked around, grabbed a couple of nickels off the Canadian dollar. But other than that, haven't been able to do anything as I get ready. And hopefully that thing will arrive. And hopefully UPS doesn't lose my package or anything. But anyway, that being said, so this euro, somewhat frustrating. As I mentioned yesterday, I had got long, and then I put the stop way too close. I mean, kind of frustrating because we had 1165, and I put my stop at 1178. I didn't get back in it. I didn't want to chase it. Plus, I'm trying to organize some things ahead of this you know, hopefully getting this thing all set up. Probably not the best time to be doing something like that, but I spent a lot of time. I had other things to do this past week, and the last couple of days been kind of nutty trying to get everything all organized. But anyway, that being said, I didn't want to chase this market, but I thought we might be able to pare back because of that. This in what we saw in the euro on a daily basis, that you know, medium slash long-legged doji. I thought we might just be able to hit. Maybe the dollar will make one more last hurrah, which allows to come down to around 1165, 60-ish. And I can go and grab a long, and I think we'll eventually move higher because I thought the dollar would break lower. But hence, that did not transpire. We've seen this euro move higher. Now, we might get a pullback at maybe one of those 2 steps forward, 1 step back, 2 steps forward, 1 step back. So maybe we ease back a little bit, but in time, I think the dollar will in turn move lower. I do think we'll get another cut. Dale with ForexAnalytix, our host, he has a guest this Friday, and he's looking for an intra-meeting cut. And I think the same thing's going to happen too. That wasn't my idea. All I'm saying is I'm in agreement with him. That makes sense to me. I don't think it's going to happen now, like in the next week or 2 weeks, but I think within the next 3 to 4 weeks, we can see an intra-meeting cut. And so I think that the dollar, knowing, not based on that, but knowing that more cuts are coming, is going to have a very, very tough time trying to move higher. And that's really going to open the door for the euro to move higher, even though the Eurozone has its problems. Germany came up with, you know, back to the old, you know, run again. Bad news, had bad economic news again today after one day of a let up from the previous day. So I think it'll be we're going to see the dollar start to continue to pare back. This peso with emerging markets, obviously, and the potential here that the equities could slide again, it isn't even playing around. This thing really looks like it wants to move higher. One of the things we covered in the European crossover webinar, we'll take a look at this real quickly. And once again, if you haven't tried out ForexAnalytix, it certainly does go into pay, especially as things are now heating up in the markets. So much for the man, FX is sleepy. Those days are long gone. They're gone with the horse and buggy days, as my mom used to say, because now FX is really lighting up. And we finally got past this pivot, this 1923.6. So even though the market was looking a little bit tired, and we talked about that this morning, we said, hey, look at this. This certainly looks like a little bit of a bearish development. And we had our resistance at 19, our support at 47, and then we say we could come as low as 35. I go, but make no bones about it. This market wants to go higher. The fact that we were able to finally take out this 1923.6, and I joked about, man, that 1923.6 has been around since Moses crossed the desert. And even when the foreign, the finance minister, you know, gave his resignation on Twitter, and we got these bounces, we could not close above 23.6. We finally got above it. So as I mentioned, if we do slide, well, it's going to look like it's going to do it now. But I was talking about this morning, we were down here. I said, well, it looks bearish. I go, but I'll tell you what, this thing is a solid buy, and it will in time go up. Well, doggone, I think it was going to happen right now this morning, but it certainly has, and has the option to move higher, or potential, I said, to move higher. And that's something that Blake's been looking at for weeks and weeks, and has played the long side quite a bit in the peso. But like I said, we're starting to see all kinds of developments. The only thing that's been still sleepy as can be has been the cable. Dead as a freaking doornail. We'll take it right before we take off. We'll go in and take a quick look on the cross rates. And as I mentioned, bear with me. If you haven't tried it, I would try a 10-day trial with ForexAnalytix for $1. You'll have access to the mobile site, as well as, to me, as great as the analysis is from the gang, whether it's macro, it's basic technical, it's Elliott wave, harmonics. To me, the real strength, I got to say, it's got to be this chat room. Man, we've got some great traders in there that share ideas, all kinds of time links from, you know, I'm primarily a scalper, but I'm trying to widen my time frame a little bit. Sometimes I dance myself out a little bit too quick. But I mean, we've got some people that, you know, scalping, short term, a little bit longer term. Amanda, who's just a fantastic swing trader. And so you get all these different perspectives. And then many of the guys and gals that trade in the European session do trade actively the cross rates. I do trade. Yeah, I haven't done that much with cross rates lately. don't like to hold positions that long, but I tell you what, they've been money makers for Amanda and some of the traders that have gone and hung on. I've come in a couple of times, but like I said, there are, like I said, look at this Euro Aussie, and that's just on data. Obviously, the Australian news, obviously the RBNZ certainly had its impact as we shot up like bananas on this yesterday. But once again, you're seeing the guppy still, hugging the lows. But we have seen here with the sterling odd. We talked about this morning. My God, look at this. And it took out 182. We were talking about this in the European crossover. And we said, it's going to go and slide back. And it was already sliding back at the time. And here we are still sliding. I think we might have been right now at our bias chart support. We can quickly take a look at that before we jet on out of here. I do recommend getting yourself the trial for ForexAnalytix. On the guppy here, let me see. No, I mean the sterling odd. We had here 80.06. We're just below that. So we thought, like I said, if you look at this, we took out 82, but by the time we were already sliding back. We said, hey, the resistance got to be 81.05, support 80.06. Well, we were just taking that out, and we're certainly forming a shooting star at this point. But like I said, you do get some pretty big moves here in the cross rates. But with that, like I said, we do have an auction coming up shortly. That'll certainly have its impact with the dollar. Once again, I would recommend taking a 10-day 10-day trial to basically kick the tires, see what it's like, check under the hood. If there was ever a fantastic time to try it for $1, it's going to be this time right now, because FX is heating up, and that's not giving you just a song and dance. You can look at the charts, you can see the price moves. They're absolutely, big right now. So with that, thanks for joining us here on the Daily FX Roundup, and we'll see you tomorrow.